Hi everyone, Anthony here. Thanks for joining me and thanks for coming to the channel. What are you looking at up here? Okay, I've got 5 items. It's part of a new series that I'm trying out that's called Thrift Flip Terrariums. In the series, I'm going to be turning secondhand glassware, housewares into hopefully stunning, budget-friendly terrariums using only thrift store finds. Also, I'm going to focus on sourcing wood, my rocks, moss, and even using a lot of native Texas plants that I get out while I'm on my nature walks. So if you love DIY, upcycling, and bringing greenery into your space without breaking the bank, you are at the right spot. And today, we're going to focus on the vintage jar, the smaller piece in the photo with a resealable lid. So let's get started. Okay, as you can see here, I've picked out another vessel to do for this is part of the thrift store finds, and I'm quite shocked that I found this. This is an old sealed jar. It's not a ball jar. There are markings on the bottom of it, but I couldn't make out what it was. One thing that's kind of interesting, and I don't know if it'll come off on camera or not, but when it was originally formed, there are brush strokes in the glass. So no, that's not a scratch. Those are actually brush strokes. I cleaned up beautifully. Usually you just cannot find these things because people usually snatch them up really quickly. It still has its original gasket, and my hand does technically fit in it, but as you can tell, off to the side here, I've got a pile of rocks, so my hand eventually will not fit in there because I'm thinking about building a backdrop of rocks that go up so I can plant little things in it and then have a few plants on the foreground. I love this little jar. I love the fact that it's not just a round jar. It's got these nice little arched panels all around the jar, and I think it is incredible. So I'm really excited to take this on. So give me a second, let me play with my rocks a little bit more, and I'll give you guys an update. Okay, so here we go. I found 3 rocks that I really like, and I almost made a horrible mistake. I almost laid them flat instead of thinking about that the bottom one really is the foundation. And so I finally, figured that out and was kind of putting them together. But the cool thing is, these 3 rocks all have curved sides, and the way I placed them, they fit perfectly together, which was amazing. I thought it would seem so natural. And in my original concept was to put, you can see there by the jar, I've got some other separated smaller smooth rocks that was also going to integrate alongside of them, and I love that idea. But it didn't work out because the vessel is not wide enough to receive all that. But the 3 rocks put together were amazing. I couldn't have asked for anything better than that. Love the color, love how they fit together, and the only thing is I kind of broke one of them. The after I got it glued, I touched it too fast, and so I had to go back in and flip them and reinforce the backside. Then then it was okay. But here we've got the 3. Those are good. That's almost, I guess, I think my version of like a totem pole, because it's really is what it kind of looks like once I've got it set up into the jar. So yeah, there you have that part. Oh, and the reason why I'm doing voiceovers now, I am rocking out to Dance Remix, and there's just no way I could listen to that and be in my Zen spot. So I decided to, hey, let me start listening to music while I do my builds. Okay, so here I have now put in some great stuff and I've let it set. And we're about to start the actual setting up, of course, now the drainage layer. And I'm going to put a little bit of soil in. You notice how smoothly those rocks fit together. I was so excited about that. I mean, I just mentioned it, but I just love how they were just like made for each other. Thought that was part was really cool. Now, one of the plants I'm going to be using in this, I haven't had focused on. I have some rabbit's foot fern, and I decided to go ahead and focus putting the rabbit's foot fern in there because I love how it spreads out, and I thought it would be a perfect backdrop to have the rocks in there with it, and I think it turned out really really cool. So I do grow all my own plants. So when I pick up a plant, usually from Home Depot, Lowe's, or Walmart, and they all come from the same place. They all come from a company called Kusa Farms, um, and they're the same price, so it doesn't matter which store you shop at, and the variety is almost the same at all three locations. Well, Home Depot sometimes will have an more expanded variety than the other two, but because I'm using them as mother plants, my plants are very inexpensive to put into the builds. So I always put out or bring out more plants. Um, I don't know. I always I always think the enclosures are much bigger in theory, but here's the rabbit's foot fern going in, um, and basically the arrowhead plant right there. It's not going to get to go in. It's just it'd be too much. But I love the backdrop of the rocks. I think that's probably my favorite thing right now. And you can see here, because I put the great stuff in, I'm able to put dirt all the way at the very, very top. And so I'm sticking in little bitty plants at the very top, sometimes just to see if they'll grow, and even then to move them on to something else to get them out of a growth chamber, just to see what they're going to look like in a setup. And so for this one, um, that actually has blooms on it. And I thought, okay, I'm going to go ahead and stick it in there. We'll see what happens. It doesn't have any roots on it because I just cut it off. So hopefully it'll do something awesome. Okay, so I get these beautiful plants in there and I'm covering up my rocks. So right here, this is where I'm staggering or trying to stagger the plants all up to the very top. And literally, one of my smaller height growing chambers has a lot of plants that are cuttings that I removed when I was planting something in a different build. And so I have some stuff just sitting in water, getting it to root, but usually it doesn't hang out that long because I'm immediately putting it into something else if I can. And so here, some of the rocks that I had wanted to use on the sides of the bigger rocks, I'm putting in the foreground. I didn't put moss in on this one because there's really not enough room for it. I think the fern is green enough. I went with these twigs because they have these cool knots on them and it's a really cool color that I think complements the rocks that I put in there. So sometimes I never have room to put any type of wood structure in there because I put so many plants in there. This time I kind of like just dialed it back because I love the jar and had wanted to work with the rabbit's foot. So I'm so glad, at least with this one, I was able to get it in there and I think it looks amazing. Go, last parting shot. I want to say, and to summarize, I think it looks really cool. I'm so glad the vessel was available because it's unique, it's vintage, that's something you can't find. I was able to get plants like that one at the very top by the rock and the twig. That was from Louisville, so I was able to capitalize on one of my layovers. And I think if we had to put a price on this, maybe $5. So it fits in line with my theme for the builds. Finding something super inexpensive, find as much stuff out in nature you can use, and then go from there and see how creative you can get. I hope you guys enjoyed the series and enjoyed this build. Let me know in your comments, and you guys have a great evening. Bye bye.